It's time for all your binge-worthy pop culture news. Welcome to Up and Adam.
Hey, guys. Welcome back and happy 100K. All right, guys. So I have a treat for you, and I know what you're thinking. You look like a Smurf. Your hair is purple. Okay, I didn't lose a bet, but what happened was we are such huge fans over here of Emily D. Baker, and when she hit 100,000, I said I would dye my hair purple. Couldn't find it, never made it to it, so I promised her when we hit 100K, I'll do the same over here. And then yesterday I went to Party City. I couldn't find it. And low key, I felt really excited about it. But then Jason came home from CVS with it. And I was like, shit, of course, here we go. But I wanted to celebrate with some of my favorite content creators and some people I've collabed with who have made this whole YouTube journey probably the most amazing it could be. People I look up to. And I know I couldn't fit everybody in here, but we do have a few of my favorites. So without further ado, we're still waiting on Emily D. Baker. Dana Wilkie and Jason will be joining us in a little bit. But in the meantime, let's welcome up DJ Richie Sky and the Sky Squad and hashtag no filter with Zach. Hey guys.
Hey, what's up?
Hi, Adam.
Oh my gosh. I'm happy to have this was so last minute. Thank you guys.
Well, congrats.
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
Cheers to you, my love. 100K.
I need your rosé. Oh, are you drinking coffee, Richie? Zach's over here just putting back the rosé.
It's been a busy morning.
It's been a busy morning.
It's Monday morning.
Oh my gosh.
Nursing the hangover.
Jason got this purple hair shit all over my face and everything. Okay. All right. Well, I know that there's a lot going on in the Bravo world, so I still wanted to talk about some of the stuff that's happening. You know, it's weird. And Zach, you might not know this, but we do have a lot to talk about at the end of this because we have some exciting semi-teasers of announcements. But for Richie, when I met Richie a while back, I saw his YouTube channel and I was like, this guy's amazing. I love the way that he navigates his lives. I have to ask him if we can cover Real Housewives of Orange County. And he said, yeah, let's do it. We covered one episode while I was moving from LA to Florida. And when we did, after we did the episode, DJ Richie Sky looked at me and he was like, to be honest with you, man, I can't do it. I'm out. I can't talk Orange County. I'm not supporting this franchise. And it was because of, can I say, is it mostly Kelly Dodd's antics?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was interesting to me because a lot of people, it wasn't just you, a lot of people took that stance. And now we're seeing the same thing with Salt Lake City. But before we jump into that, let's welcome Emily D. Baker. The reason why I look like a Smurf with my purple hair. She can pull it off. I can't. Hi, Emily.
Hi, I'm so excited to see y'all. I'm so excited. I love the balloons. I love the hair. I love it all. I wore my Up and Adam like blacked out all black hat.
I appreciate that. We switched for a second. We switched.
I mean, I love it. I'm here for all of it. I'm so glad to see all of you.
My gosh, and what a panel too. When everyone answered, you know, and I at first like more people started I texted everyone at the same time and more people started reaching back out and I'm like, who can we put at this point? We can't have like 8 or 9 people. So we'll do time slots. It'll be exciting.
I love that you're doing a round robin. It's good to see everybody.
Yes.
Good to
definitely.
see you too.
So Emily, I was talking to Richie because when I first met Richie, we tried recapping Orange County. And of course, Emily, we've talked about this before and Zach and I have talked about it. But a lot of people boycotted Orange County because of Kelly Dodd. Now she's no longer on the show, but we're starting to see the same reaction with Salt Lake City because even though the cast members are reacting to some of the, you know, posts that resurfaced from Jenny, Bravo, Andy, the network, they haven't really put out any real statements. And I don't know if you guys have been watching social media or Twitter, but people are like, I'm not watching, I'm checked out. And I kind of wanted to see what everyone felt about that. Should I start with Richie?
Yes.
That's fine. Okay. Yeah, you know, I just as a content creator of color, I mean, you know, for me, it's definitely difficult to watch when there is actual real trauma that's surrounding what she was posting. And it wasn't a couple of years ago. It was in 2020. We are only just beginning 2022. So to act as Andy did last night, as though it happened a few years ago, it's very misleading. And I understand to a certain degree the network stance that this did not happen on screen. However, it's still impactful to the audience because of the nature of her posts, which were dangerous. So to me, to not say anything, And to sort of gloss over it the way that they did last night was honestly just disappointing. And I don't want to see this play out as a storyline for season 3 because I don't want to see trauma on my screen as entertainment. This did not work well for Dallas, and I don't think that it's going to work well for Salt Lake City either. I think that what you need to do is hold the person accountable. Do not give them a platform by which to entertain us, give them glam, give them pay, give them promotion for this type of behavior. So to me, it's unacceptable. And that's where I'm at with this particular show. I just don't know if I can continue to watch it because I don't want to support that.
Absolutely. That makes sense. And last night TV Deets came out and they shared a tweet from Andy Cohen. Someone asked, hey, Andy, are you guys live or recorded? And he said, show was recorded on Wednesday afternoon. We'll be back live on the radio in the AM and live tomorrow night on Watch What Happens Live. But that wasn't the only thing. First of all, last night, I'm sitting here in my head thinking, somebody throw a guy a bone. You mentioned last night that Mary's mom came out in an interview. It's just, there's 3 words. It's up and Adam. Just say up and Adam. That's it.
I didn't see Watch What Happens Live last night. So I'm glad you guys are giving kind of the breakdown, because I think when we're talking about Jenny, we also have to address that last night she said that she had broken her husband's ribs in a previous argument, and that hadn't been addressed either. And I'm like, wait a second. If she had come out and said her husband had broken her ribs, I think what we would see on social media would have been a little bit different. And I think that that's a huge problem, because we can't normalize women just beating up on men. And it does happen. I mean, said from me being a former district attorney, but I think there's a lot of problems here. Her Facebook posts are hugely problematic. I'm surprised that Bravo hasn't said anything, because essentially they're platforming her and then not addressing it. Silence doesn't get us anywhere. Silence is a huge problem, because silence is silence and acquiescence that they're not a problem to the network. And how else do you interpret that? But then we saw last night with the doubling down, I was like, wait a second. Am I the only one who heard that? Like, why? She was saying she went to anger management. Like, was there a court case involved? So this is where my mind goes. Like, did her kids have to witness this? Like, that is, breaking ribs is a big deal. So now we've got multiple things with this housewife that are going to trigger people and be traumatic to people. And how do we go into season 3 with that?
Right. Zach, what do you, I see you kind of nodding over there.
Yeah, for me, it's very hard to believe that Bravo was unaware of these posts, only because within the last 2 years, networks have to really vet your social media, and they hire third-party companies to do that analysis, and they screenshot all of the posts that are the most problematic or could potentially be controversial. And I know, because I've gone through this and I've received the reports myself of my own socials of, what they deem, red, yellow, green, whatever, so that the network's prepared for any sort of, backlash with social media moving forward. So to me, the network probably knew. I'm surprised that they haven't addressed it. We've seen the way they addressed Vanderpump Rules. We've seen the way they've addressed Real Housewives of Orange County. We've seen the way they've addressed Real Housewives of Dallas. And now we're in Salt Lake City, and there's no real, standard, There's no statement with Salt Lake City, but we released a statement with Dallas. So to me, I'm confused as to where the network stands on these issues and how they're going to address them, because we tabled Dallas as a result of it, but yet we're still filming Salt Lake City. So where do they really stand on these issues? We spoke out in support of Tiffany Moon, but yet here we are not really addressing Mary or Jenny. So to me, I don't know where Bravo stands. And I think that's hugely problematic for the brand overall. And I think they need to take a stance, and they need to take, some sort of position. I'm the first person to be always willing to have an open dialogue, have an open conversation, give people the grace to grow. But at the same time, as Richie said, these posts are not from very long ago, and they're not being addressed today very appropriately, in my opinion.
How is there not a standard?
Right,
Bravo knows this is going to come up. How is this
We're
not a
2
standard?
years
we
into
saw it with
3
New
years.
York too. With New York, they didn't address the Ramona of it all really at all. They just canceled the reunion without saying anything. And I think as a network, you know, when does it become too much? And I think that's what we're seeing the viewing audience say. And I think, Richie, you said it perfectly. It's not at some point, it's not entertainment, it's trauma. And it's not, and that those two things can't be conflated. And because we get that too with the news. I think the news, yes, we need to know the news, but the news also, you know, hypes everything up. Bravo, yes. Bravo used to be our escape where we could just go watch, you know, pretty people with fabulous lives, like have pretty people problems and get drunk and yell turtle time. Like it used to be an escape from reality. Right. And how can it be if we've got, well, one's going, you know, to federal prison, and did this one's husband steal hundreds of millions of dollars from widows and orphans? And it's just, it's not fun. It's horrible.
Right. And, you know, Jenny's kind of giving me, after last night, first of all, that was a bombshell that we didn't have it in the trailer. We didn't have it in a preview. We didn't know that it was coming. Renee B, thank you so much. We appreciate you for the super chat. We didn't know it was coming, but it kind of gave me Bronwyn vibes on her last season, where we got hit with, she's not ever been in love with her husband. She is a lesbian and she wants to come out. She has a modern day, you know, Brady Bunch. She's battling with sobriety. And then surprise, I've beat up my husband more than once. You know, like it was so much to digest. And they said that they didn't fire her. They just kind of gave her time off because they felt like it wasn't a healthy platform for her anymore. But I am curious. I don't want to keep it all about Salt Lake City, of course, because, you know, there are some heavier topics, and I am everybody else.
We learn it in kindergarten.
Yeah.
Keep your hands to yourself.
Keep your hands to your, listen, if people
want their hands on you,
I'm going to be
want their hands on you, they'll tell you. They will tell you.
I agree.
I'm the first one to say, put your hands all over me.
Exactly.
You know,
you will just ask for it. It's like, yes, please. Yes, please.
Please and thank you.
Context matters. You pull my hair on the street, it's a problem. Not on the
You
street,
pull it in
it's not a
bed,
problem.
and it's, well, to be fair, whether it's on the street or in the bedroom, it's going to be a problem because I'm blonde and it'll break. So we have to be very careful of like how we're pulling the hair. You know, I always have to like preface it. I have a whole guideline on my wall of like rules in the bedroom.
Oh my God.
I don't know. You get like me, you won't have those problems. They can't pull this.
That's what I'm trying to
You're
avoid.
like, grab the beard. Richie, grab the beard. All right. So maybe, hopefully, I don't want to, because Bravo is one of my favorite networks, and I love a lot of these different franchises, and we know that there are times that things surface and it does become problematic, and we all sit back and we wait for a statement. But in the meantime, I do want to kind of focus on a positive. I hope it's a positive, and I want to ask what you guys think and if you're excited about it. We know that February 1st, we are getting our New Jersey women back, and rightfully so, because Orange County took their place, which I was a little pissed off about. I'm not going to lie, but
Why did Orange County bump them? Was it because of Fancy Pants?
I think personally, I'm curious to see what Richie and Zach say about this. Personally, I feel like they put so much time and like effort in their minds of reconfiguring Orange County and doing like this cast shakeup and trying to save the flagship franchise. So they tried to not only recast it, take out some of the people who were problematic on the series like Kelly Dodd and Bronwyn, but also put it on the heels of Beverly Hills, which was having great ratings for current times, and thinking, okay, maybe that will get people excited because it's right after Beverly Hills. I don't know, but that's a great question. Yeah. Richie, what do you think?
Well, I think that they were really banking on Cruella de Bro. But for me, after watching her come back, I realized that maybe I had overly hyped her up in my head. I think that I had romanticized Heather Dubrow in such a way that when she came back, I was so disappointed with the way that she sort of came at Shannon, the whole situation with the girl and the lawsuit. You're more mad at Shannon for telling someone off camera than you are at Gina for basically spoiling your entire party. And you're more angry at the two of them than you are at the person who actually sued your husband. It made absolutely no sense to me. However, I'm actually more excited about Jersey than I am about Orange County now that I've seen what Cruella has brought to the show.
Okay. So
I gotta be fair. I only wanted Fancy Pants back because I wanted to see the house. I just, and now I've seen it. Like, I'm good. Like, I realized I was more excited about like Gina's reaction to the house than I actually was about Heather showing us the house. Like, I'm sitting there like Gina, and Gina's like, can you just adopt me? Can I just live in this wing of the house? You won't know I'm here. Like, I'm living for Gina and Emily this season. I want them to have a spinoff where they like go solve crime in Orange County or something. I'm just, they're saving this season for me.
Can I say one thing really quickly? I had seen that house because I do prefer Heather on YouTube versus the show.
Okay. I need to go to her YouTube.
Reality stars are better on YouTube. Yeah. Well, like Sheena is like great on YouTube, but like on Vanderpump Rules, she's not the most palatable.
Partially the editing and stuff too, because on Vanderpump Rules, we should see Sheena as like this boy hungry, super, like she's kind of crazy, obsessed in the moment with whoever she's dating and how amazing they are. And they can hang a TV in under 3 minutes. And it's like this whole thing. But in real life, she's not really like
7 minutes.
7 minutes.
You want to give the guy a few extra minutes. Guys don't like when you cut their minutes short.
I mean, Jason and I are not your handy gay, so I don't care if he can hang it in 70 minutes. If it gets hung, I'm good. So we're good on that. But
Adam likes it hung.
Yes. Thanks, Zach. We appreciate you over here.
Don't we all, Zach?
Renee,
I don't. That scares me, Emily.
Oh my God.
I like palatable sizes.
That's fair enough.
Richie's like, what did you invite me to?
Happy 100K, Adam.
Everyone has coffee and
spicy scream.
It's 9:19 in the morning over in Los Angeles, and Zach's like, rosé, anybody?
So
listen, we're not judging
rosé all day.
It doesn't give you a headache, so you can day drink and not have a headache by 5 p.m.
Yes. That's a talent.
Mm-hmm.
It's a talent.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
To get me some of that.
I mean, you have to
I'll send you some, Richie. And I'll really send you some, since I get called out if I don't send people wine. Okay. I'll really send you some, Richie. We'll
Richie,
after.
Here's the thing you need to be aware. The cans might seem small, but they pack a punch. So don't be like, oh, we need 3 of these up in here. You don't.
No. Oh my gosh. It was when Zach sent us a case, Jason looked at it like, oh, these are little, and we ended up sending Zach videos. Jason's like, oh, I want to dance with somebody. Like, the music's playing, it's blasting. I'm like, we live in a condo. We have people who border our walls. And Jason's like screaming. He's like, I love this rosé. I messaged Zach. I'm like, I don't know what the hell you put in that. But he has not had. We're
launching a white one in March, and that one might be a little bit stronger.
Oh my gosh!
I grabbed 2 of them to go on a live stream, and after the live stream, Zach was like, "Did you look at the alcohol by volume?" I was like, "No."
It says it 14% alcohol. It says it on the can. I always have to warn people.
It's like disclaimer. Disclaimer. Renee Rod, congratulations, Adam, on 100K. That's so awesome. So are you. Thank you, Renee. We appreciate you. Getting back to, thank you guys for even being here. Getting back to New Jersey, we have almost 1,000 in the room, guys. Smash that like button. But I want to go around the room. We've seen the trailer. We know that it's going to be an explosive season. There's Jennifer Aiden cheating rumors. Margaret Josephs is putting everyone on blast. Teresa's still with Louis, who kind of comes off like a little bit of a creep, but we'll wait and see. Who are you most excited for? At least for their storyline this season. And I'll start with you, Emily.
Oh, don't start with me. Who am I most excited about? I don't know. I don't know. I feel like what did we see from everybody? Because we didn't hit everybody. What's going on with Melissa and Jackie?
Well,
what's ever going on with Melissa?
Yeah.
I mean, right?
Fair.
You know what? I'm probably the only Melissa fan here then.
I'm a Melissa fan.
Okay, good.
I understand that her husband, when people say, we don't need Melissa on the show, I like Melissa's dynamic on the show, but I do understand where Joe Gorga is vital to keeping her around, because we need that Teresa Joe Gorga dynamic. So
you also need the balance of the housewives. Like, they can't all be Bethany's. Like, you need a Sonia, and you need a Dorinda, and you need a Kelly Ben Simone.
Here's my real answer.
Or else you have no Scary Island.
Okay.
Dolores. I want to see, did she break up with the doctor?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
This is what I want to watch play out. I think she's my favorite Jersey housewife. I just love her.
I feel like she's the most, and maybe I always feel like Dolores is like the best at kind of being a peacemaker. And when there's rift between everyone, she's like, you need to get over it. You need to get over it. She's not going to cave. You know, she's hard-headed. I've known her for a long, but she's always trying to help the group. And she's not the one you want to piss off. So I really do enjoy Dolores as opposed to seeing some of the other women who just pop off. Sometimes kind of like Jen Shah in season 1, pop off every episode. And you're like, okay, we're on 10 every episode. We have to reel it back in.
I think Dolores is fair. And when you push her, she will cut a bitch. And so it takes a ramp up, and then she brings the jersey out. But I feel like she's so even keel, and she'll listen to everybody and take it in. And it's a kind of a slow burn, but you can tell like when you push her too far. Like when Dolores gets crazy is normally when if I was in that situation, I think that would probably push me over the edge too. So I relate to what kind of triggers her to anger. And I like her. I think Margaret is just trying to stir shit. I mean, always.
She's her. I wish she would just do it with the pigtail still. That way, at least it would have like the comedic effect to it. But she's cut the pigtail. She got a new face. Margaret's doing the damn thing. So we'll leave her alone. I do want to ask, because I know Emily gets to catch up on, some of these shows when she has time. And most of the time she's covering some of the biggest legal scandals that are happening. But for Richie, Zach, and I, we're watching the shows. We hear the headlines before they come out. We know what the storylines are going to be. And then sometimes when we get enough space between hearing what's happening while filming and then it's prolonged so long and the show actually comes out, we're like, wait a minute. Teresa's already been engaged, so we don't care about that. We know what happens. We know that they're moving into the house. We know that the Gorgas, like part of their situation is going to be selling their other house, part of their storyline, and building a new one. We know that they're doing that. We know that Dolores isn't going to last with Dr. David. Does it still keep your interest when you already know the outcome?
Yes and no. I mean, I think to me, sometimes there are moments that will genuinely surprise us. Like they hold some things back. And those are the things that I'm really kind of watching for. For me with Jersey, I just kind of always feel like everyone is so afraid of Teresa. So I'm happy that Margaret is bringing something different, because it can't be a situation where everyone tiptoes and tap dances around Teresa and she never gets to be put in the action in a real way unless I didn't like when she stirred the pot with Jackie because I felt like that was kind of gross.
Right.
But I do feel like when Teresa's engaged, then it's really good. But
right.
She needs to be organically engaged. And I feel like someone like Margaret is probably the only person who has the mental fortitude enough to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Zach?
Listen, I love Margaret. She's messy. I'm good without the pigtails because they weren't a cute look. The new face looks incredible on her. The new body, Jennifer's new Jersey. The women are finally like Melissa and her 4 nose jobs. Like everybody's looking good on Jersey this season. We need to upgrade some of like their opening title looks because like I think Margaret still had her pigtails like up until last season in the opening credits. But I'm excited to see this Jennifer and Bill cheating storyline come to fruition. I think Margaret's gonna flawlessly carry this season on her back. And nobody's gonna be pulling her pigtail this season. So I'm ready for it, Adam.
Okay.
Adam, I think you brought up a really good point though. When they hold a season or push a season, because if they haven't pushed Jersey, most of these storylines wouldn't have been spoiled on social media, but they're not moving fast enough because from the time we saw first few seasons of Orange County to now, social media has changed so much that we just know so much more that's going on behind the scenes in real time that if the seasons don't come out fast enough, you really do risk losing interest. And I wonder how Bravo's going to continue to tackle that. I think that's why they're filming Salt Lake City now, because the drama of Jen Shah getting ready to go to trial is going to be playing out now and is playing out in real time.
But when are we going to see it? A year from now?
We're already going to know the answer, right?
Do you guys think that shorter seasons may be better? I'm talking like 15 episodes. To me, that would be better. Ideal.
Yes. So you can do it faster. Just
Yep. Boom, boom, boom.
But normally, because it varies per season, and I know I'm talking about Housewives because even this past season, Vanderpump Rules, like it was a lot shorter than what they would normally film it in. But I'm wondering for Housewives, it usually varies between 3.5 to 5.5 months of filming, right? Depending on how much they can cram in there as far as content.
Yeah.
So
But they could
Beverly
film-
Hills has been
they
filming
could
a while
film-
now.
They could film 3-month chunks and release them
Like the
in shorter
Kardashians
seasons,
did.
like the Kardashians do.
The
Yeah.
Kardashians eventually started busting out their seasons a lot quicker, and we got like 2 mini seasons per year because they were filming, and we were able to like get those storylines out quicker.
I agree.
And VH1 will actually release the show while they're still filming.
That's ballsy.
See,
Well,
and
Bravo wants to control those storylines in editing,
Yeah.
though, and they definitely move things around in editing. I think a lot of these franchises are interesting enough to just let it play out. I don't think we have to have resolution to every storyline every season because we're getting resolution on social media and elsewhere. I don't think it all has to be wrapped up. Though I do love some shady Bravo editors when they're just like, actually, bitch, you said this.
I mean,
I love it. I love
Bravo
it.
does come through sometimes. Kathy Music, Adam, so happy for you. 100,000. Thank you. Hello, new men. For me and Emily, you are top notch too. Thank you. Resiny, congratulations. I wish Kempire was with you guys for my balance fix of you all. Oh, definitely. Don't worry, Kempire will be back. Hit that like button. Okay, let me just hit these really quick, and then I want to ask a question to everyone. Norma Maldonado, I love this panel. Emily D. Baker is fabulous. Zach Pack, Liddy City always brings it. Wonderful DJ Richie, and congratulations, Adam. Thanks for great entertainment and content. You guys are the best and so sweet. Thank you. Before we move on from New Jersey, if Teresa ends up marrying Louis, we've seen wedding specials before. We saw it with Candy. We've seen it with Nene. Do you think that Teresa would get a wedding special, or would they just feature it on the show?
No, I think she would get a special. She got a prison special.
Okay.
Why not give her a wedding special too?
I want a wedding special to see how the kids are dealing with the wedding so we get more of Teresa's kids. Her girls are just
Melania.
stunning. I would love to see more of them. And I just think if we did a wedding special, we would get to probably see more of the girls and how they're dealing with their life.
And if they like
Richie's
Louis.
Richie's face is saying it all. What is that? What are we thinking?
I'm probably the only person here that just does not find Teresa that interesting. You know, I reflect back on when she was on the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. Well, to me, they make one complete person. Okay, so let's put it like that. You know, I just feel like Teresa, to me, even on Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, she in a season full of, you know, either OGs or superstars, she kind of faded to the background on that show. And it really kind of just showed me, and even I felt like Melissa actually stood out more on Ultimate Girls Trip. So I feel like they kind of provide a balance for each other. I just don't know that a wedding spinoff for Teresa at this point is as interesting as it would be if she's on the show.
Okay.
That's fair.
I mean, that is fair. That is fair. All right. Well, you guys, we'll leave New Jersey alone for a second. Since we have Emily in here, and I've been asking this question all week, sometimes I blow up Emily's phone and I have legal questions and I'm asking about different franchises. And then Jason has to remind me, Emily has a whole entire life too. You can't just be blowing up her phone. So I'm like, okay, I'll back off.
And I always say it's fine.
You do always say it's fine. One day she's going to tell me, piss off. Stop calling me.
No, I won't.
But I did have a question because there's been a lot of Erika Girardi news that has been coming out. And people have been talking about it like breaking news, this is happening. And they're talking about Erika going to trial or court, whatever the case is, in January of 2023. And what was said is Erika is seeking her legal fees from the estate plus money in damages. And she's claiming zero responsibility for any of the losses, including the $25 million she was given, which is booked as money she owes the firm. Yet she's claiming ownership of Girardi Keese. Emily, what does this mean?
So Emily has been digging deeply into the Britney Spears conservatorship and had to take a step back from Erika for a minute. But this is her attorneys doing their job. This is nothing. I mean, it's nothing really. I guess it's dramatic, but it's not dramatic to me because this is her lawyers being like, look, she didn't know where these sources of funds were coming from. It's her asserting the rights that she has to assert. I've said it since the beginning. She needs to assert these rights because at the end of the day, she's going to be left holding the bag, particularly on the marital property because she filed for the divorce real late in the game with all of this. and she's going to be on the hook for all their marital property. So if she can get money out of the law firm side, it's going to go back into the marital property side. It's not going to be a nest egg. It's going to be taking money from one place to pay off money she owes in another place, and potentially the IRS, because I still think that that's when the real hammer is going to fall. And when that happens, you will see me all over social media being like, oh my God, it's happening. The rest of this is kind of normal operating procedure for the bankruptcy. She has to do a source of claim. She was married. She's saying the firm is marital property. That's not shocking because there's really nothing left. And she's trying to protect whatever money she can because it's eventually going to get paid out probably on the marital side of the bankruptcy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Do you think at the end of this, because obviously this has been a long drawn out process, we've been talking about this since October of not last year, but the year before of 2020, is this, now we're hearing that she would be going to court maybe in January of 2023. If you had to guess, how much longer are we going to be hearing about the Girardi scandal?
Oh, this bankruptcy is 5 years at least. And then the tax stuff's going to drop. This is a long haul. This is not quick because stuff keeps getting uncovered. And you've got to remember with COVID is on your channel, the vid-19 YouTube. We're talking about life, YouTube. Be nice. The courts shut down. And so the courts are so backed up that things are getting pushed into 2023 and some court dates in 2024 because of that. And the longer it continues to go with courts being partially open, not open for trials, it's going to keep getting pushed back and back and back. So it's not all just because of the length of this case, but it's part of the bankruptcy delay is the complexity of the Girardi case finances, because it seems like it was all done on chicken scratch. And it was like, oh, here it's on a Post-it note somewhere. It's fine. And they had one of the financial professionals quit because they couldn't make sense of the financial documents. So that's delaying it. Court delays are a very real thing that are going to impact the court system for years to come because court cases haven't gone through court because court's been closed. You can't bring juries in, and they're just starting to get back, and it gets back and then it shuts down, and then it gets back and it shuts down. So we've got years of this. We're not going to have easy, quick resolution.
So real quick too, if they end up playing this out and say this lasts 5 years, can the IRS still come back and be like, okay, Erika, well, it's our turn, or does it fall under statute of limitations?
The IRS has a 7-year statute of limitations, if I remember correctly. So they can pull back 7 years. They're probably going to look at probably the last 4, I would guess, but they can pull back 7 years unless there's fraud, and then they can pull back a little bit further, and they can still bring stuff for years to come, especially if the biggest issues were in like 2019 going forward. So yes, that can come. And I'm sure Erika's lawyers are mindful of the more money they're able to cordon off for her, the more protected she is about the future shoes that are going to drop. They have to be concerned. Looking at the books of Girardi case, they have to be concerned about the IRS, and they have to be planning for what that looks like, because she was married. And if some of that comes back on their personal taxes, there's no getting out of that tax debt. You can't bankruptcy your way around that tax debt. She's going to have her Housewives income or her extensions income attached going forward, and that can be for years and years to come. So their job is to put her in the best position to continue surviving, making a living, having a home over her head. That's their job.
Okay. And since we have Emily here, guys, I always, when I have my legal questions, I go in and I'm like, hold on, Emily. I know we're focused on Brittany right now.
No, it's my mind has been so blown by the things going on in that case that I've just been like in the deep dive of the former FBI agent investigation of it all. It's just, we're finally getting some real actual like meat and potatoes coming out of that case.
Okay. So can I ask really quick, because we heard there was, I don't know if it was on Twitter or what, and I don't even know if there's any truth to this, but we know it happened before. Jen Shah's court date got pushed back from October to March because of lack of courtrooms, right? Now I heard something the other day where they were saying, and again, this could be a rumor, that Jen Shah was getting upset because she wants to have her day in court, but now it might get pushed back again. Have we heard anything about that?
I haven't seen it. I'll pull it up right now. I haven't seen anything, but there are new orders in New York. They have had problems, even with the Maxwell trial. They were running low on jurors that had not been exposed. They are having a very hard time. And if they have multiple defendants going to trial, it is going to be very difficult to bring in, because with multiple defendants on a case like Jen Shah's, they could bring in multiple juries. And what happens with multiple juries is you generally have a large courtroom with 3 juries stacked up that all hear some of the evidence. And then they're like, okay, jury A stay here, jury B and C go out, because jury B and C don't get to hear that evidence that jury A gets to hear. And it can be a logistical nightmare, not in a panini. So dealing with it now is going to be exceedingly difficult. So yes, I do think, I haven't booked a plane ticket to New York yet, because I think there's a real possibility with where we're at in the world right now that New York says we're not doing trials of this length and of this size. And Jen, as a defendant, has a right to a speedy trial. I have a right to go to trial. I don't want to be holding up my assets this long. It's more expensive for her the longer this goes on with her legal fees. She's got money or assets, or someone has money and assets wrapped up into her bond, and she wants to be done with it. But generally, you don't get to waive that right. The thing that states are doing and governors are doing is saying the right is waived because of the kind of state of emergency that's going on. So we are forcing defendants out. Jen should be lucky that she's not in custody, because there are defendants that were in custody before March 2020 that are still waiting for trials to happen. So it has created a mess across both the civil and criminal court systems. And the judges are like, I know you're not waiving time. We're waiving time for you. We're sorry. Your trial is getting pushed. It's very, very possible that her trial gets pushed. She has no room to complain for her trial getting pushed, because so many others are in much more dire circumstances than she is. I mean, Maxwell has been in, her behavior is horrible, by the way. I'm not excusing her behavior, but she's been in solitary confinement due to her age and health issues for almost 2.5 years, which is psychologically quite traumatizing for someone. Not that she didn't cause trauma to so many others, but those are the types of situations where people are in custody and their trials are getting pushed too. Jen still has glam on a girl's trip and is clearly drinking her face off. She can chill the fuck out.
Okay.
Jen Shah can sit down on that. Sit down, Jen Shah. You still have your Gucci shoes. Like, I don't want to hear it.
I love how Zach takes it.
And Mary's Louboutins.
And Mary's
Louboutins. Yes, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
She's still got glam on her girl's trip to Zion. Like, oh, I want my trial to go. Yeah, you and everybody else, Jen. You're out of custody. You go to the bottom of the list for whose trials go faster.
My gosh.
Sorry,
okay.
I just don't have empathy. I mean, there are. I have no empathy for that. Jen can shut it. But I'll double check and see if there's any orders on the court's website while we're talking, and I'll stop talking.
That was better than the show.
I was about to say, do either one of you have anything to chime in on this?
She dropped the book on us.
She always does. She always leaves me speechless. Susie, congratulations on 100K. Sweet Adam, thank you. Thank you for the super chat. All right. Well, I know I don't want to keep everybody's time super long, and
stop apologizing. Ask your questions.
Okay, it's the last question, and then I have 2 questions for everybody. One last question for Emily, and it's in regards to Real Housewives of Orange County. We know that Noella Bergner is going through this messy divorce with her husband, James Bergner, also known as Sweet James. I don't know how sweet he actually is, but that's not up for me to decide.
He's salty.
My point is,
his billboards annoy me. I'm already kind of out.
Well, my question is here. Noella came out and said he could shut off, my credit cards at any moment. Then I literally would have to look at some serious options. There's been no changes in the finances. He's not paid rent. Right now, we are currently squatting in our 10,000 square foot mansion, which to me is very eerie. She's squatting. Can you squat legally? Like, is there repercussions for this? How does this work?
She's not squatting. She's behind on her rent, and nobody's started eviction proceedings on her that we know of yet. But eviction proceedings could be started. There are some eviction stays. I don't know the status of LA's eviction stays and Orange County's eviction stays.
It's still ongoing.
I think there's still in place. So she would, though not the intended recipient of eviction stays, she would probably benefit of that. And if she waited to file for divorce, which it seems, I don't know if she's filed or not. I know the Bravo docket's been diving into it. If she hasn't filed yet, then she can't get a stay in place from the court to stop him from shutting down credit cards, which is why if you think something's going on with your spouse, you got to talk to a lawyer, or you have to know the access account to the bank accounts and have your own credit card, because the other person can shut all that off before you file, and the court's not going to make them turn it back on. So she is not in a great position at all.
Okay. Well, that answers that.
And she's not technically squatting yet. They haven't, though. Could she be evicted? Probably. I'm sure it's very stressful. It's just legally different.
Okay. All right.
Then move out of the mansion. Like,
Move out of
if
the
you're worried about rent,
10,000
move
square foot
out of the
mansion.
mansion. Go live with your mama. Go get a
problem-
job at Ralph's. Like, I can't with Noella.
You're like, you can't with
I
her.
can't.
But I mean,
I can't.
If she had to move into somewhere else, she probably doesn't have a credit history or funds to pay first and last and all of that.
No, I mean, move in with someone.
Yeah. And
like,
she could.
And then she has options.
And she can't take up much space.
Right.
She can move into one of Heather's corners of her home.
20,000 square foot mansion. All right. Well, to help us
Also,
off,
why are they paying rent? Like, why do we not own homes? Like,
I mean, they
this
own a
is the same with
$14
Jen
home.
Shah.
Oh, well, because his argument was that their primary residence is in Puerto Rico, which is where he filed for divorce. And I believe that they're divorced in Puerto Rico.
And it feels very like structured to make sure that was the primary residence, the way that it all kind of
Well, it's
played
very
out.
tax beneficial to be there. I wonder if the State Bar of California knows that he is practicing from Puerto Rico and not from within the state of California. I think that's an interesting question.
Sweet James, where are you? Okay. All right. So with that, I promise not to keep everybody's time so much. Richie, Emily, Zach, I appreciate you guys so much. Before we go, can we just say one thing, one positive thing in the Bravo realm that we're looking forward to over the next year? I don't care if it's family karma, the new season of Beverly Hills, like there has to be one thing. And then as we go off, I'll drop us down and thank you guys.
Oh, I've got an answer for you from Jen Shah. The court said that there are 2 cases in line before her March 22nd trial date. And if those cases are delayed, then her trial will be delayed. But if those cases are resolved, then her trial will resolve. I think she's going to be delayed too. But
Okay.
she's trying to push the court forward, and that doesn't benefit her. The thing is, in most criminal cases, it makes sense to push the prosecution because in a complex case like this, they're not ready. But the prosecutors have done this trial twice before with other groups of defendants. It's not like it's not going to be easy for them to round up mostly law enforcement who pulled the documents and put the thing together, and a few of the victims who I'm sure have a burning desire to testify and tell their side of the story. So it doesn't hurt the government to try to push them to trial faster. Jen might be worried that she's going to run out of money before this goes to trial, and that's probably the real sitch.
The never
Trial's expensive.
The
Maybe you shouldn't be
never-ending
taking
saga.
glam to Zion.
It's expensive to be me.
All right.
She's lucky
A
they didn't
bitch,
watch that
what?
episode and violate her probation, saying she's clearly intoxicated. She's clearly trying to be assaultive. She's lucky they didn't revoke her bond now, ask for another bond hearing, and throw her in based on behavior on the show.
Wow.
Because I think they could. I would. I was a petty prosecutor sometimes. I was a petty prosecutor sometimes. I might have. I might have been like, let's pull her in for a bond hearing and scare her a little bit so she starts acting right, because we just saw it all on TV. And it makes it look like the terms of probation, or the terms of bond are no big deal, because Jen Shah's out living her best, getting drunk, but the girls can't take a trip outside the state of Utah. So are they going to go back to Zion again, season 3? I don't know. Jen can't leave the state.
We can't go back to Zion.
Sorry. As I chat.
No. I love it. All right, Richie, what is one thing you're looking forward to in the Bravo realm?
Can I do 2 real
Yeah.
quick? Real Housewives of Atlanta. I think that's going to be amazing this season. And I'm looking forward to Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip 2 at Dorinda's. So
agree.
looking forward to that.
I am so excited about that. And I can't wait to see Vicky coming into the house knowing that her whole breakup happened right before. Brandy Glanville's always a mess, but we love to watch. It's like a train wreck that we can't take our eyes off of.
Who gets the fish room?
Who gets the fish room? And Tamara dropped on my interview with her. She said, all I can say is about staying at Dorinda is you're not supposed to drink in the bedrooms. And she got really pissed at a lot of us. And there were some repeat offenders. I'm like, Brandy, you brought the wine in the room. I know it was you or Taylor. I know it was. I
look forward to that too. Did Dorinda make it nice? I'm sure she did. And then the ladies were a mess. I love it. We named our house Greystone Manor, which was a nod to Bluestone Manor.
I love that.
I love it.
My husband doesn't know that though. He's like, well, yeah, this makes sense. It's kind of French chateau styled. It's got this like gray white brick. He's like, that makes total sense. I'm like, uh-huh.
Yeah. We just call mine the apartment building. Crazy.
Oh my God.
All right. So Atlanta and Ultimate Girls Trip. All right. Those are two things to be excited about. And Richie, for those who don't know, will you let them know where we can find you if they're living under a rock?
Listen, it says it on the screen. Follow me on Instagram, YouTube, every place at DJ Richie Sky. And then you guys can also text me at 202-918-3386, and I will notify you every time a video drops.
To get in your text crew.
Oh, do they send nudes, Richie?
I've got nudes in my text crew.
I've had people send a lot of different things. I will just say that.
Zach, I'm going to start forwarding them to you. I've got nudes in my text crew.
You guys better be careful. Richie's husband's going to be on it. Be careful.
Oh my God, I love it.
All right, Richie, thank you so much. And thank you guys to the Sky Squad being in the building. We appreciate you. Richie, I texted you after this. I'll just wait to find out what you wanted to do for the rest of the day.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Richie. We appreciate you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, Richie.
All right. And Zach, two things we're looking forward to. And guys, I do see down below, down with Jason and also Dana Wilkie, we are going to rotate our panel. But this has been an amazing conversation. I want to know what we're looking forward to. And we can't keep all of these incredible people all day. So Zach, what are we looking forward to?
I'm really looking forward to this new season of Jersey. I think Margaret's going to bring it. I can't wait to see Teresa throw everything at her at the table. I just feel like it's going to be like a really juicy season. Jersey always brings it. So I'm excited for that. And I am really excited I was going to say Ultimate Girls Trip too, but then Richie stole that. So, Jersey and Ultimate and Brandy Glanville's return to Housewives. Yes.
Oh my gosh. It's going to be a messy one.
I love Brandy.
We're here for it. And there are there have been some spoilers, but I'm going out of town at the end of the week. Why I'm going out has already been kind of told, but I'm not going to tell it on here. Jason's like, don't tell. If they don't know, they don't know. But I can't wait. We have some exciting photos coming your way, some exciting announcements and some collaborations. I promise you guys will see them between Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It's all going to happen as a cluster. And well, everyone in this live on the panel knows what I'm talking about. But in the meantime, you guys will find out next week. I feel like I've been doing a lot of teasers lately, but it's just fun.
Zach, do we get to steal you for a drink? Because I'm going to be in LA at the same time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Zach's
we get to see people in person.
Yes. We're going to have a good time. And Jason's already so excited. He's
Liddy City.
Jason's
get to see people. I will drive LA for you guys. Like I will leave the South Bay to find y'all. Like that is true friendship. You know, when you have a friend who's like, I'm in Santa Monica, but I'll be there. You're like, you love me. You really love me. Like,
yeah,
you're willing to traverse Los Angeles for me. That is true friendship. So
it's a real thing. Yep. We'll have our own mini Ultimate Girls Trip.
Oh God. I'm going to be Brandy. Here we go. This is going to be tragic. All right. Zach, for those who don't know, will you let them know where we can find you, please?
Yes, you can find me at Just Plain Zach all over the internet, or you can follow my show at No Filter with Zach. It's a podcast, # No Filter with Zach Peter, available all over the place. And if you want some Housewives-inspired rosé, you can get it at nofilterwine.com.
Hey, thank you, Zach. We appreciate you. Guys, make sure to go check out Zach. And Zach, I will text you right after this. Thank you, Zach.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. And Emily, we know that you have some legal ish to get to, but thank you so much for your time. And we know that the boy's not feeling the best right now. So
this is the shortest I've ever streamed. I know we woke up with some individuals not feeling well. All of our COVID tests came back negative. So I think, other things are happening. It's still flu season. So We're going to go get them flu tested. But it was so good to be here and celebrate 100K. I love the hair. It's blending into your balloon, though. So you're going to have to post some photos on social. I love it.
It kind of turned out blue, and I tried
It's
to do
electric
it for you
purple.
because I said I would do it before, but now it's all on my forehead and whatnot. Jason and I have
You're
to go out to
having
the
a
real
Joe
world after this.
Gorga. You're having a Joe Gorga moment.
Oh my gosh.
No. Yes,
I'll
it was
take
Joe Gorga who had the black hair spray that came off everywhere when he was fighting with Joe Giudice.
Yes.
Do you remember that? With it just everywhere. So make sure to take pictures.
Yeah, same thing. Same thing.
I can't believe, Lisa, the teaser from Salt Lake City, though.
Do you mind being on here whenever you're ready to go, then I'll drop you down, but I'm going to bring up Jason and Dana with us.
Please do.
Yeah. Because I have to talk about this too.
Yeah, I want to talk about it too.
Hi, guys.
Emily! Oh my
Hi,
God,
Dana. It's so nice to meet you. I'm a huge fan. We haven't met.
Oh my gosh.
No, I've never met Emily. I watch your channel though.
I like your podcast. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. Oh my, and
Hello.
Jason, how are
Hello,
you?
Jason.
Hi. Emily, I have a question. Okay, so would you leave the South Bay to come to the Valley?
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
I would. I would hate you for asking me, but I would do it. I would do it. And the hard thing is like when I visit back to LA, I'm like borrowing my dad's car like I'm in high school. And I'm like, Dad, can I borrow your car? But his windows aren't tinted. It doesn't have self-drive. So it's always like going back to LA is just hard these days. I'm tempted to buy my parents a car to leave at their house because I find myself back in LA so much, but you know, bougie problems.
I had those kind of problems.
Yeah.
I love where I live now, but traversing LA is not something I miss at all.
I mean, Jason and I got to the point when after the pandemic hit, we always had 2 cars because we worked at 2 different jobs and we needed them. And then one car sat and we had one car that we were just leasing. And after almost 2 years of leasing it, it had 4,000 miles and 3,000 of those miles was driving it from LA to Florida. And then everyone would come visit, my mom, my brothers, and they're like, hey, can we just take the extra car? And I said to Jason, why are we paying for this? This is crazy.
Yeah.
Everyone can rent a car.
Yeah, rent your car. Get an Uber. We're not paying for that.
You
I have to
guys
say,
had
I've been
COVID.
laughing for the
I
past
had
45
Omicron.
minutes.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dana, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
So if
Dana.
I sound like a little out of it, I'm trying to follow and I'm like, oh, it's a lot of activity here.
Oh, Dana, at any point, if you're not feeling, thank you for coming. You could, I know that you haven't been feeling good.
I wouldn't miss your 100,000 people for the world. I mean, what an accomplishment. Emily has also like a gazillion people. What a blessing, you guys able to touch so many people on your platform. You both, all of you guys, Jason's on his way. It's such a blessing to have people like you influencing people. So, yay.
Wow.
That's so kind.
Wait, where's Sassy Dana?
I'm tired.
Oh, it's the
Sassy
pandemic.
Dana's in there.
I was like, wait a minute, she's in there. No.
I'm exhausted. I'm so tired. But COVID, Omicron was a lot harder than I thought. I didn't know it was going to impact me. And I never got COVID, the other one, Delta, Alpha. So I was shocked at how bad I felt, actually. And it's been like 10 days. So I'm just trying to hang on. And but I have been still studying all my gossip. Don't worry, I'm on it.
Are we still, and by the way, Dana, are we still on for tomorrow night?
Yeah, I wanted to ask if we could possibly, I want to do a whole show with you and Jason. Just saying it. We like have been trying to hook up for days, Emily. So we're just going to do this.
No, just do it now because the chat's
like,
saying that Andy just released a statement
I-
regarding SLC. So I'm going to let one of them pull that up too.
Oh,
So I wanted to do a whole show with you and Jason. So when you can do that, like a good amount of time, like we don't.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Not the
Pause for a second,
freezing.
Dana?
Am I there?
Yeah, you're here.
Oh,
Okay, sorry, my phone rang. So if we could do a whole show next Tuesday, I'd rather do that after the reunion. Do you want to? Can you or not? We could do it the next day, I guess.
Yeah, no, honestly, whenever you're free, we'll message after this. But yeah, totally. We can either do it tomorrow night or we can do it on Wednesday. Either way, whatever you want to do, we will make sure that we're available.
Are you doing a show at Jason? Are you doing a show at 11 on that Tuesday?
No, yeah, so every Tuesday at 11, but I think maybe that Tuesday, I'm not sure yet because we're going to be in LA.
Yeah, we'll be in LA.
But we can like work around that for sure.
All right, so I'll just schedule it for you the next day, and just don't be so hungover. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
We like it. Speaking of which, now, by the way, they just said that Andy had a statement about Salt Lake City. Emily said that. I would love.
That's what the chat is saying. Yep.
I'm curious if it's on Twitter or what. I want to see what this.
I'm checking Twitter. If you want to check Insta.
Yeah, definitely. In the meantime, Emily, do you watch Vanderpump Rules?
No.
I don't blame you.
Sorry. I mean, the thing is though, it makes me like, there's times I get FOMO for like actually having your 20s because I was in law school. So my 20s didn't look like Vanderpump Rules. And there's times I'm just like, oh, I should have had fun. I just went to school forever and raked up a whole lot of student debt and then started working and then had children. And now I'm here on the internet with purple hair in my 40s. So I can't, it's not my experience and it's harder to relate. It's much easier for me to relate to women, you know, who are sometimes mad at their husbands and have teenagers that are sassy.
And they never get to a marriage point on that show. They keep getting engaged and never actually getting married. So you can't do any legal coverage of it.
No. And I had a very boring, I mean, my 20s were so boring. It was like, I met my husband, we got engaged, we got married. I went to law school. He worked, I worked. And then sometimes we were like, why are you still at work? Why are you still at work? I mean, that was my 20s.
I feel like my 20s have been, well, never mind. But they've been pretty out there. Jason rescued me from my 20s, so I'll keep Jason around.
I love that you referred to yourself as a rescue. I can't wait till there's a book.
Oh my gosh! Thank gosh
Emily,
there's no video.
Jason and Adam almost were in Vanderpump Rules, so
They've told
literally are the epitome of Vanderpump Rules.
We were on the real. I think we were on the real side of it, where you actually do work and you actually show up. But I still to this day. When I was running Pump, if you just put cameras in there and just let it go, it would have been the best reality show. I don't know why we're focusing so much on this cast, but
I feel like that's the same thing at the DA's office, though you couldn't practically make it work. But if you just put cameras in there, it writes itself as a reality show. And someday I will tell some of those stories, maybe not online, to protect those that are still employed.
Oh my God, I want that on my show, Emily. That goes on my show.
We'll absolutely talk. I mean, there's shenanigans for sure. It's kind of like Grey's Anatomy, but with lawyers and police officers.
That sounds amazing.
Hey, so what happened? Did they, I heard they weren't firing Jen, and they weren't firing the Jenny Nugent either, Jen Shah or Jenny Nugent. Is that what happened? Is that what they announced?
So, I know he did like a on Andy Radio. He did something, and I've been trying to listen to it as I've been trying to focus. But
Joe Mendoza said Andy apparently said he cannot address it right now.
That is not a statement, chat.
That means he's already said he's not doing anything. He said that Jenny Nugent is going to be addressed in season 3 by her castmates on her racist statements that resurfaced on her Facebook page. And he hasn't made any stance on Jen Shah. And Jen Shah just put that out there that she was potentially being fired for coming for Jenny Nugent. But I don't think that's true at all. She might have gotten a fine.
Jen Shah's trying to bolster sympathy because she is trying to detract from the fact that she is going to trial for fraud. And she keeps saying these women, she's like, Meredith called the feds. Girl, we've read the legal documents. We know the truth. Don't even.
Yeah. No, that was the producers, in my opinion, Emily, trying to bring in that into the storyline somehow so they could talk about it. They wanted that momentum that drama created. If she was willing to sign up for that season and go on camera, which is incredible that she did that. It's so stupid, but whatever. you know, the reality is that she made that choice. So the producer's like, let's make the most of it. We have to bring it into the story somehow. And so they came up with obviously some sort of like, you know, plot of that Meredith somehow, you know, tipped off the cops. It's a joke. It's a joke.
I mean, they didn't have the LA Times.
System.
They didn't have the LA Times to do their heavy lifting. The LA Times did all the lifting for Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And you just got their reactions as they were going through the LA Times article. But look, Bravo, I've been covering it since she got arrested.
I mean, to be fair, I have my complaints too. They literally mentioned my interview last night, but no up and Adam. I said this, that was 3 words. They said, you know, Lisa Barlow, Mary's mother, came out in an interview with
Up and Adam.
That's all you have to say. That's all you have to say. It would have been great, but no, it's okay. I do want to share. I got the audio.
Yeah. The audio, all he said is he can't address it right now.
It's right here.
That's a non-statement statement.
I'll play it for you guys really quick. Here we go.
Oh, good job, Jason.
Thanks, Molly Brown.
About Jenny, Molly Brown, Salt Lake City. I was on tape last night. We taped last night's episode Wednesday, and people were very upset about the lack of discussion on last night's episode relating to Jenny's disgusting and upsetting posts. And I've also seen all the tweets wanting to know what's being done about those posts. I just want to say, in case anyone doesn't realize it, that there are many serious discussions happening right now about everything. And I can't address the situation right now, but it will be addressed very soon. And thank you for your patience. And the posts were very upsetting, rightfully, and disgusting. So there you go. I heard that the Smith sisters were great talking about this on Friday, and I need to listen to that episode on demand. Did you hear it, John?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, like most things with the Smith sisters, it's the first time I'll hear of something.
Right.
So I wasn't really hip to the story.
Well,
okay, so pretty much that was a non-statement statement.
He did say it was disgusting.
He did say it was disgusting, but I mean, you know what? I think too, people automatically assume because it is Andy, and you know, Dana was on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She probably knows better than all of, you know, us who have not been on the reality shows in Bravo. I think it goes beyond Andy. There are other people who have to have discussions. Like, do we fire her? Do we keep her around? And I think everyone is like jumping, like, we need an answer now, address it now. What are the consequences? And they're like, we don't know if we can save this or if we can't give you that answer. I feel like that's exactly what was just said.
Just like, since everything is so instantaneous today, that people want a quick answer. And I think they need to work on being just a little quicker in this day and age. But I know it has to go through the whole network. NBC, Bravo, executives have to sit here and decide these things. But I'm glad he at least said something.
Right.
You know, I
just want to know if there's like a procedure, like, hey, we have an internal process and that we go through this whenever there's anything, and it takes time to go through that. At least that's a statement saying we have an internal process as a company that we go through to address these things, and we're doing that, and we will address it once we go through that. Because again, you can't just be knee-jerk reactive either, because there are contracts involved, there will be lawyers involved, and so there has to be a process, but it has to be consistent across franchises and consistent across network shows. And I think that's where part of the frustration is too, is that it doesn't feel consistent across different franchises.
Oh, at all. I completely agree with that.
That's what fans want to know too. I mean, Dana, when you were on the show, what is there not like an HR department that says, because Kelly Dodd said at one point she got fined $16,000 or $17,000 for her insensitive hat that she wore that sparked a lot of controversy. And she said that they fined her $17,000 for bad behavior, and she had to actually pay this fine. Was it like that when you were on the show?
No, they started implementing a lot of different hybrid contracts that they didn't have when it first started. So initially, like, they also have cast members that are going on the show now for like 3 weeks. So they're not like a friend of, they're not, you know, just to give you an example of a difference, like used to be like a housewife period. And then they decided to introduce the friend of as like a part-time housewife. And now they have like a third tier where you can be paid and under contract for a short period of time and an official cast member with no name. And you get like a compensation for it. And you're like under contract for that period. They didn't have that also when I was around. They've implemented different reward systems and different punishment systems. We used to just be like more traditional in the way that they did it. They'd be like, we're buying you for the season. And then if you went over a set season, you'd get a bump, right? You'd get like, if you did 16 episodes, it's a set amount for the season. And then you get a bump for every additional episode that you did. Well, now they have all these different things that they do where they have these hybrid contracts, because I think what they learned was that the show is so taxing on people. They can start off really gung-ho and then they get in it and they like are dying. But Bravo's already put so much into them that they want to like have the contract kind of motivate and demotivate behavior, because that's really all that they have once the person's famous. Right? Once they have the platform, it's too late. So that's how Bravo's altered it. I do believe she would have been fined. And based on my understanding of how the contracts are going now. And I know that they're casting for Salt Lake City right now. So I think I think originally Andy didn't realize the fans were going to be as upset as they got. And then when he realized how upset the fans got, he recognized that he had to take some sort of action, especially after Vanderpump Rules.
Okay.
And the dismissals that happened based on racism in that show.
And I think too, like what Emily was saying is it doesn't feel like it's level across like across all franchises. Like I feel like I understand there should be variations in like contracts and, you know, how people come on the show and, you know, what those I get that, but it should be, I feel like when it comes to, let's say, punishing or holding the cast members or the talent, you know, responsible for their actions, I feel like that should be one universal kind of like, here is this 3-page document. This is what you can and cannot do. And if you do it and you go against the document, then you are fired. You get,
well, there needs to be a process for like, if there is a problem, this is how we address it. Because there's different types of problems, right? Something you say on the show is different than something you said in the past, is different than going hands-on with a cast member on, you know, on camera. But they need to have a procedure for if something happens that we have to address, this is what it is. And we're seeing this in a lot of influencer contracts now too, that there is a, they call it a morality clause, but there's morality clauses saying if you do something that casts the brand, or in this case, the network, in a bad light, you can be terminated from your contract. And we're seeing more and more of those clauses be looped in, because I think we're seeing a more responsive viewing audience. It's like, no, these are reality TV stars. We're watching their lives. And if their lives are playing out in this way off camera, we're not okay with platforming them. And that is a request to the network to grow and to modernize. And I think that's something that large companies continue to struggle with. And we're seeing that across the board, not just with a network like Bravo, but there needs to be a process. And I think they just need to be a little bit more transparent with that and make it consistent.
Well, here's where that becomes really a challenge too, Emily, is that it's a delicate balance, right?
Yes.
Because the producers are desperate, like, you know, I mean, I would make an argument, right, that we're being, you know, that part of the storyline was racism, and the producers introduced that into the show. So, you know, like the conversation, let's say. So their attitude might be, we don't know where, you know, if it goes along the lines of what the fans want or are behind, it's a good thing. But if it isn't, like, it's a bad thing. And so I think what, you know, might be a problem for them is how do they, you know, if they want to make that a conversation, how do they make it so that it's a safe conversation for the cast, right? Depending on their beliefs, because it's supposed to be a reality show. And even watching Lisa on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen last night, I saw her looking for him to guide her in her answers. So there were, did you guys see it last night?
Yes.
I could tell, Emily didn't catch it last night, but I could tell based off of, by the way, Norma, Ginny's apology states she's against violence, yet her actions and posts say otherwise. And then Emily said, Norma, this, okay. But I do want to bring this up really quick because Andy did confirm the show was recorded Wednesday afternoon and they will be back live on the radio in the AM and live tomorrow night.
When did this all break? Because time is mushy in my brain.
So this broke Wednesday. Oh, sorry. Okay. No, because I have a conspiracy about that, but that's,
about Andy coaxing Lisa.
No. So technically she filmed it Wednesday for a pre-record or for a pre-recorded episode of Watch What Happens Live. And then on Wednesday, the Jenny post dropped. The Mary Cosby's
so this was almost contemporaneous with things happening, which might be why they weren't ready to address it on Wednesday because things were... The dominoes were still tumbling, if you will.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
And
I want to hear the conspiracy theory.
The thing that I sensed was not so much that he was coaxing her on that particular topic, but that he was coaxing her in general. So she was kind of answering him. She's like, "It's okay. I said that, right?" Like, about, sort of forward-looking statements about the show and giving too much away about the dynamics of her relationship with her castmates. But I mean, it just kind of shows how precarious it can be, right? Like, am I even allowed to talk about what's happening right now? Or could I get in trouble for that? Like, because when you're on the show, you're shooting something from 6 months ago and everybody's living it now. It can make it really complicated for the reality star who's trying to navigate. This is kind of off topic to the racism thing. I'm just saying it definitely is there. It makes it difficult also for Bravo to address things too.
Yeah, and to be fair, by the way, Krista Marie, slow clap for you and Andy Cohen. My jackhole is you today, and Andy, thank you, Krista. We appreciate you. Jen did watch What Happens Live last night, and she was also pissed. And she said, "Hey, Lisa Barlow, saw your cute appearance on Watch What Happens Live tonight. Do not ever speak on my marriage or mention my husband's name, period. Instead, worry about your performative allyship and friend of 10 years, Jenny Wynn, and what excuse you're going to use now."
Yikes.
Jen, look, it's hard for me to take anything Jen Shah says as authentic because she's deflecting so hard.
Is I'm shocked, Jen. It's almost like Jen wants to lose her job at this point. And I'll say that for a reason, because even though Jenny said really disgusting, horrible things, it's like she hasn't been given the word from Bravo yet on as a character, as a cast member on their position. So she's sort of just talking. I don't know. I mean, what do you think Andy's reaction to that will be?
Not good.
I mean, personally, I know I've been contacted by PR who like the people who do the PR for NBC and stuff before, because I have a really good relationship with them in helping facilitate the interviews that I get. And one time I got an interview with someone who it was like a pretty decent deal of an interview. And when I did, I got contacted saying, if this happens again, we're not going to be as willing to push people in your direction, because you're going outside of us now at this point, and you're booking your own talent, but they work for us. So they want to control the narrative, which I understand. It's their platform and they want to know what the talent's saying. That's why when I do interviews and or the PR for Bravo, they're on it, we do Zoom calls and there is somebody in the room. And if I say or ask one thing that's not right, they're like, hold on, cut in. You can't ask that. And then they'll just pull themselves back out, and then they'll come back in if they need be. But I feel like they always want to have control over the narrative, and they want to be one step ahead. And Jason does have a conspiracy theory.
I don't know if I should share it though. I feel like maybe I should save it for LA. Okay, we'll save it. Okay, we'll save it. We'll talk. I really think Bravo is so good. Bravo is so good at creating their narratives and manipulating things. And I don't know. I just think something. So I can't wait to share it with you, Emily, and Dana. Okay. I'll share it with you too.
It's interesting to see I follow the court documents. I don't know about production. I've learned so much from all of you and like Zach and Kate Casey and others about how production works behind the scenes, because it's not my world at all. I just watch court documents and do legal stuff, but it's really interesting to see, that Bravo like wanted to control the leaked post and wanted to control how the different cast members responded and when they responded, and a coordinated response, and we're doing a black background with white text, and it's very interesting to watch it and learn how much goes on behind the scenes, and then watching Jen choosing the opposite of what's going on. It's very, very interesting.
And to be fair, this is not the first time, like when all of the Vanderpump Rules people started getting fired, Kristen Doty, Stassi Schroeder, Jax Taylor, like when everyone started getting fired, they all had very similar statements and they got called out for them. And finally, Jax and Brittany were like, I think they just got to the point where they were pissed from hearing from everybody saying, why do your statements sound the same?
Because that's what PR told us to do.
That's what they said. They're like, you think we have control over our exit statements? If you think that, then you're out of your mind. We don't have control over our exit statements. And it was like, boom, right there. It tells you, it just shows you that, I mean, they're still a business. They want to control what's going out there. And when they can't control something, like they've been shown sometimes before that problems can come out of it. Like when Nene leaked that when she was off the show, she went and reamed Bravo and Andy. And she's like, you know what? I'm no longer a part of it. Here's this, and this, and F you. And it was like,
well,
whoa.
It's like when Mary Cosby went on Twitter Spaces for like 5 to 10 hours. I mean, Emily, were you? I thought I saw you.
I was on part of. I was there for part of it for sure.
I fell asleep.
It was very interesting.
It was very interesting, but I thought that was interesting. It was the same day the trailer dropped, and then I didn't know, did Bravo green like that, or was she just like going like rogue here?
But there was like 4 or 5 producers in the room.
Yeah, there were a lot of producers in the room, and that's what made me think, was this kind of like to take away from what potentially could or could not be said on your interview? Can we just go out there and get ahead of it? It just kind of felt, I don't know, because they let her kind of be unhinged on that Twitter Spaces. If Bravo was kind of behind it.
What did they say, Jason? I missed it. Sorry.
Well, she said a lot because it went on forever, but is that she was just saying that she doesn't have contact with certain parts of her family. She was going off about how production portrayed her on the show, but I didn't know if they were doing that. I didn't know, I guess, to put my thoughts together. Sorry, because I'm thinking about so many things now. If they kind of pushed her into doing that and let her be unhinged because it's not going to make her look bad anyway, or if she was just kind of there to like kind of clear her name or get ahead of the story that was going to drop. I didn't think she came
across as unhinged in that conversation. I think she was trying to tell her side of things, and I actually felt like maybe there's a reason, because as she started talking about Jeannie, she started doing a mocking accent when she started talking about her, and I'm wondering if some of those things are the reason that maybe her airtime is constrained, because we saw a little bit more of Mary and more of the way she interacts. I feel like I learned more about her in that Twitter Spaces.
Yeah.
I think that I would be interested, like after that, I think I'd be interested to see more. I would be here for a Mary spinoff, like Hoarders / former housewife kind of a show, because I'm very interested into what's going on with her life behind the scenes, because there clearly seems to be some dysfunction there, and I'm interested about what that is and if she's willing to explore that. Maybe she isn't.
I'm more than happy to show up to the church. I'll go to the church, and I will.
Sorry, Adam.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think it was like more unhinged, like on a PR like level, but her answers were very authentic. She was honest, and she was willing to kind of just spill the tea at that point.
Right.
It was an interesting listen. That's why I listened to it for like way too many hours.
Well, I mean, does it matter? She quit, right? So.
Well, that's another thing that she said in the interview. By the way, Renee B., freedom of speech does not guarantee freedom from consequences. Bravo should already have an ironclad and non-exploited policy and procedure in place. And then somebody just said in here, Storm Doris, we need a Mary Adam interview. guys, if I could get a Mary interview, I would do it in 2 seconds. I would be back on the next flight. I don't know if I'd be the first person she would want to talk to at this point. However, a lot of people found compassion for Mary after that interview, listening to her parents. But Mary did say in that interview, her Twitter Spaces interview, she said, I have not been fired and I have not technically quit. I am not happy with my edit. I'm not happy with how they're portraying me. And as of right now, I don't know what's going to happen. She gave us like a roundabout Kathy Hilton, like, tomorrow I could be climbing Mount Everest. I don't know what I'm doing. So I don't know.
Which means
the Kathy Hilton non-answer.
Yeah.
Which means read between the lines.
Which means the lawyers are involved and they haven't decided how it plays out yet.
Yeah, she basically quit. Andy came back and said, don't quit yet. He wants her back, even though she didn't go to the reunion. They're trying to come up with a deal to make it worth her while because he thinks she's worth it. That's what that means. And she needs the money and she's not really, and she doesn't want to just go later, so.
Right.
I mean, and we also heard, and this was like, unless Emily or Jason, you caught it, because I was half asleep. It was like 12 o'clock at night when this interview was happening. It was late.
I was there for the bit when Jen Shah was in there too. And
I missed that.
Was so bummed when Jen was having like reverb and she just bounced out of the Twitter Spaces. I'm like, put on a pair of headphones, Jen Shah. Go back into Twitter Spaces.
You're like, yeah, but you're not done yet. We haven't let you go. This is still your call time. But
she just like bounced. It was interesting hearing them interact in a very pleasant way together too. And very excited. Mary was very excited to hear from Jen, and Mary said that Jen was the only one who reached out to her when she didn't show up at the reunion to see if she was okay. And I thought that was very interesting.
I agree with that. And she said, either she said it or somebody took this away from the interview, that Mary was hoping for, since she didn't go to the reunion, which I'm wondering if this is the way that they can save face on her not going to the reunion, that she would do a one-on-one sit down to address all of the allegations and everything that she's been through and things that people are saying that her family has been a part of. She will do a one-on-one sit down special with Andy. And if Andy facilitates this, if they do this interview, people will be like, okay, well, we heard specifically from Mary, they wanted to do a one-off special. Now it makes sense why she wasn't at the reunion. Let's bring her on to season 3. They'll be excited about it. It's just about damage control at this point. Or am I wrong? I don't know. Everyone got so quiet.
Well, what did Mary say? Mary said she didn't want to get attacked at the reunion, so she opted out.
Just like she opted out of the bus for the same, her and Meredith for the same reason. So yeah, I get it.
But you're signed up to be on a reality show. You have to have those conversations. Like it just reminds me of Rinna looking at Denise being like, you're on a reality show. What would you like to do here? You have to have these conversations. You have to handle what's being handed to you.
Even Tamara said when I did my interview with her last Wednesday, I was asking her about it and she said, wouldn't we all like to not show up to the reunion?
Yep.
She's like, honestly, I've had moments where I was cringing because I knew that I had some really like not favorable moments on screen for that season. And I knew I was going to be asked about them. It was going to be tough. And there were moments when I woke up and I'm like, I can't do it. But there's like this rule. It's like this kind of unwritten rule. If you don't show up, or maybe it is written, I don't know. If you don't,
I would imagine
up,
it's in the contracts.
Yeah.
Because if you're on a movie set and you just don't show up to film, you're going to be terminated. Like you don't get to just opt out of obligations at the end of the day, under a contract. It's not,
Well, nobody wants to not go to the reunion unless they really are not trying to draw more light on something. That's the truth. Because everyone loves the reunion because although you have to face like stupidity and cringe moments, it's your moment to tell the audience more about yourself outside of production. And actually the worst nightmare that could happen to you on the reunion is they cut something you say out because you very intentionally want to say stuff at the reunion. So actually it's like, it said a lot to me that she didn't attend the reunion. I think she's not sure, how to have the church interact with this platform, given the allegations that have emerged. I think that's really the issue because remember, they're not acting. This is their life.
Yeah.
Right.
So if her church is negatively impacted from the show's negative PR, that's a revenue stream that's very important to her. So she may have to choose
Okay.
the show and fame or keeping her church intact and all of those things, and just trying to weather the storm of the negative PR. I'm not sure that the image that Housewives projects is consistent with her like leadership in a church.
Right.
Right.
I mean,
flamboyant, gratuitous, gorging, alcohol everywhere. It's just not simpatica. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's why, I think it was just like it was a train wreck that we were all watching happen. And honestly, now as the season's going, like even watching last night's episode, I'm watching Mary and her sometimes quirky little antics that she has. And I'm like, if she ends up leaving, now Bravo might end up firing Jenny. Jen Shah, we don't know what's going to happen after this court date. That leaves us with 4.
Jen Shah's going to go to trial. And then Jen Shah might be unavailable for filming. That's what's going to happen.
Right. Or she might be available for filming. So we don't know yet, but we do what we do know.
I wouldn't frame it that way.
We have Meredith Marks, Whitney Rose, Heather Gay.
Yeah,
and
you know what? Emily, it's so true. Nobody understands what Jen Shah is going through. It's so much harder core than what people are
I'm shocked.
Is happening.
I'm shocked she's on TV. I'm shocked she's on TV.
It's absolutely absurd that she's on TV. And
wasn't one of the things that she couldn't do while she was on what is she on?
Bond.
On Bond is not drink. Is that necessarily true, or
she can't drink to excess? So
okay.
sometimes a condition, and I went through on my stream because I went back and pulled her conditions of Bond because I wanted to check too. I had gotten asked a lot. It's excessive. And I think that there's an argument that the AUSAs could make that that it was excessive. And I think if they wanted to, they could ask for a bond revocation hearing. I don't know if they want to. I don't know if they care that much about what happened on the show, knowing that production's there, knowing that she's probably not going to hurt anybody, and knowing that it's all on film anyway. I don't know if it really matters to them all that deeply, but I think that they could have, based on what we saw from her. I think that's why she was using a water bottle to drink out of. But production made it clear that everyone knew what was going on with her water bottle that she had been drinking all day.
Right.
And I'm not surprised. She's going through horribly stressful things. And though she keeps saying on the show, these are fake allegations, she's facing the very real possibility. And I'm sure she and her lawyers have had this conversation that she could go to prison for upwards of 10 plus years on these charges. She's going to spend millions of dollars to fight this case to trial, and she could miss out on a substantial bit of her children's lives. I think her fear is coming through, and I think it's real. I think it's appropriate. But there's other times where she's like, it's going to be fine, and she believes her own hype. But you can't do what she's accused of doing without having that level of almost disjointed confidence. Because she got, in 2016, she got deposed and sued by the FTC for this business. And she was like, yeah, we'll just keep going. Most people would be like, don't talk to me. Like, you got a letter from the IRS and it's like, hey, you're getting this kind of credit this year. And you're just like, why does that letter say it's from the IRS? My stomach dropped. I want to barf. Like, what has happened? That's most people's response. Jen Shah's response is not what most people would respond to. And that's not uncommon of people accused of what she's accused of. And I think she knew it was coming. And I think that's why she was drinking so much season 1. I think she knew that the other shoe was going to drop because the other co-defendants had gotten arrested and indicted.
And I think
I want to add to Emily, the reason that they have the excessive alcohol clause is so that you don't reoffend in some way. So I think, that she was on TV, with producers around, they probably,
she's not going to get drunk and start calling people up.
Yeah, she's not going to
asking for money.
But I agreed with you about the physical altercation. They have to, if they took that as a literal threat and not a theatrical threat, then that would be compelling. And you're not wrong. I do agree with you that if the prosecutor wanted to torture her, they could have absolutely used it as a method to psychologically, cause her more fear.
I think they could have brought her in for a bond hearing and let the court address it with her, and at least let the court say, you're on thin ice. You need to be very, very mindful, because it does make it look as if federal bond doesn't matter that much. Because others with less of an interaction would have had their bond revoked, particularly in state court.
And, you know, too, with this, like, I could imagine that, you know, she's seen the footage, obviously, of her kids being removed from the house, and, you know, knowing that all of this is happening. And she, even before any of the, like, the arrest happened on the show, you saw her with one of her sons, and she was like, you know, last year it was a lot, and he got messed with at school because of me on the show. And I had a lot that I was going through with my father's passing. And she said, now I have to make up for that time with him. And this was before the arrest. So I think in her mind, she really has to be back. Like, those are her babies. So no matter what is going on out there, she's probably thinking about how is this going to affect my kids? Right now I have to save face. I have to tell them, or, you know, say to them, I know I'm not guilty. This is what Jen's saying. And, you know, show that everything's going to be okay. Mom's going to be okay. And I think that's what she's trying to lead with, because maybe that even makes her feel better in this moment. I couldn't even, I have no idea. I'm not a mind reader. I could not imagine being in this situation.
I mean, to me, there's only 3 reasons she could still be on that show. 1 is that she needs the money to fight her legal. 2 is that she doesn't understand the seriousness of the situation that she's actually in, like, somehow. And, you know, 3 is that she's trying to protect herself because she thinks she will end up in prison, and she needs the fame to protect her, because lawyers will say to you, if you're a public figure, you might not die in jail or be raped, because people will know that you're there and you're okay, you know, that something happens to you, people will report on it. And that's actually stuff that's said.
Wow.
So, you know, that could be where she's coming from. In fact, some lawyers will advise that if you're famous, they'll be like, can you get another show to cover you while you're in prison, because it'll help protect you there.
Do you, by the way, and this is a question maybe because I don't know if Jason and I would know this, but for Emily and Dana, if in fact this doesn't go her way, and they do find her guilty, would Jen be at the status yet where they wouldn't put her in general population, where she has that name and enough notoriety where they will separate her?
Well, it's federal prison. So federal women's prison is a bit different than state prison. It's also a bit different than men's prisons. So would she be in kind of a similar situation to where Martha Stewart was and to where Teresa Giudice was? Probably. But like the lower security federal women's prisons, there's always danger with prison, but are not as dangerous as others. And her crimes are not violent crimes. They're financial white collar crimes. So yes, she would probably be in general pop. There would be no reason not to, because also isolating people can be psychologically damaging. And that's something that prisons have to be very mindful of, is over isolating people, because that can be a violation of a defendant's rights as well. So I don't think she is at a level where she would be in danger. If they thought that she would be in danger, then they would make that decision. But the individual prison where she would go to would make that decision after evaluating her. If they were worried about her self-harming, they would put her on watch. If they were worried about others harming her, they would put her on watch. If they were worried her mouth would get her into trouble, they would put her on watch. But, you know, others have served prison time and come out the other side. I'm sure Jen Shah can do it too.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, even like, you know, of the prison system, federal prisons, at low, you know, minimum security are like the better ones, but I mean, they're still horrific. And if you think about it this way, this is Paris. The documentary just came out about kids going away to being paid huge amounts of money to go to schools that are for reform. And in those schools, there was, I think Paris said, sexual assault. There was children getting injured and other things. The list goes on. You can watch the show Paris in Love if you want the details. The last few episodes, she kind of covered that. But the reality is that, you know, even in that institution, you're supposed to, these are kids, right? This is supposed to be like a boarding school, highly paid institution that, you know, and they have those problems. So, if you think it can, if it can happen at Paris Hilton's boarding school, reform school, it's definitely happening in the federal prison system too. So like, although we like to talk about the Martha Stewart component of it, and that it in The Wolf of Wall Street, I saw that movie too, where he's playing tennis in prison. That is not like a real depiction of what it's like. And the consultants, I've never been to prison, but the consultants that talk to you about it, they do not paint a picture where you should feel safe and like, hey, don't worry about the next 7 years. It's going to be an easy ride. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely not going to be an easy ride.
Yeah, it's not. It's scary and awful. And there, and I had to stop because I think a lot of people have a tendency to just kind of go, well, it must be a fancy thing. Like that's where Joe was. And we paint a picture in our head because it makes us all feel better, even sending people away to prison. But in reality, when you are actually in the thick of it and you find out what's happening in there, it's really scary. I had someone on my show who was in the administration part of a women's prison. And she told me that rape with guards was not an abnormal thing.
Oh my God.
So meaning
there's a large problem with female inmates being impregnated by guards.
The women. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to go dark and stuff, but like, it's not, it's not like, whatever, I don't know, country club.
A walk in the park. Yeah.
She's got a lot to be scared of. I feel bad for Jen in that one way. I feel terrible for her victims. Terrible. And I also, I just hope that whatever reform Jen gets, if she ends up getting it, is helpful to her and doesn't make her a worse of a person, makes her a better person. Right?
Good.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. And that's my COVID talking.
Salt Lake is just full of this season.
Listen, Jason, I agree. And to help us end off, because we are almost at an hour and 40 minutes, guys, this was a longer live, but we're celebrating 100K. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Dana, for being here.
I can't believe Adam
congratulations.
Andy did not shout you out last night, Adam.
Dana, don't get me started.
Text him. Somebody text him.
Yes.
And be like, be like, Adam.
Let me just pick up my phone and be like, you know what, Andy, I'll deal with you later. No, I did want to say there was one last part of, since we were on the Salt Lake City topic, one last part of last night's episode that really blew everyone's mind, and it's leading into next week. And it's when Lisa Barlow gets upset and she says, Meredith can go herself. I fucking hate her. She's a whore. She's half of New York. I think all of us were like, what?
Wow. Well, is Lisa Barlow backing up the claims Jen Shah's been making? Is she doing it to hurt Meredith, or is she doing it because it's true?
Well, she said last night that she's like, honestly, I'm not friends with either of them at this point. So
but she didn't choose her words wisely, and she wishes that never would have been on camera.
She did say that, but
some people say things out of anger that they would not otherwise say. Lisa, it's interesting seeing the cracks, because last season, Lisa tried to portray herself as kind of not above the fray. And I think we're seeing this season how much it actually does get to her, and how that portrayal of I'm above it all is really a protection mechanism, because it does bother her so much. Like, she's very bothered this season.
I mean, Karen Huger did an amazing interview with Richie when she even talked about, he was asking her about her time on Potomac, and she said, for the first 3-4 seasons, I was the Grand Dame. And she said, I'll always be the Grand Dame, but I knew how I wanted to portray myself going into it. But she's like, at the end of the day, it's so much to keep up with how you want to, this character that you're trying to give, as opposed to just being authentically, unapologetically yourself. And she's learned to kind of transition into that. But for Lisa, I think for any housewife, even Dana says, if I could go back and I knew how this game was played, I would go back and do it a little bit different. Like, I think everybody watches and you have an idea and you're like, you know what, they're not going to get me. I'm going to portray myself like this. I won't give them a moment of weakness where I lash out and they can use the sound bite. But you're filming for 3 to 5 months. Like, how could you not have a moment where these women don't get you all the way there, where you say something that you're like, oh shit, what did I say?
And if you don't get all the way there, are you going to be back for multiple seasons?
Boom. I mean, these two will for sure, because they're the ones turning up all the shit.
Heather, I am, look, I need Ultimate Girls Trip with like Heather and Emily and Gina. You know, I'm living for Emily and Gina. Like the four of them would be so fun, but I'm living for Heather. Like, I feel like Heather came in not as comfortable last season, and this season has really found her footing with the, you know, no fucks to give. I am who I am, and I'm going to, I really respect her for saying, you know what, Jen Shah is my friend. She's going to go through hard times. I can be her friend and not agree with what she did, and I'm going to stand here. I'm like, good for you, Heather. Stand in your truth.
I think the first season she was kind of scared talking out against the Mormon church and like her experience, but she even said in an interview after that so many people could relate to what she went through. And she said, you know, so many people were reaching out to me saying, I left the Mormon church because you inspired me. And she's like, I didn't want to do that, but it makes her heart warm that, you know, her impact, her platform, it had an impact on other people and it touched them. And I think this season she focused more on being, well, this version of bad weather.
I love when she put her sunglasses on in the back of the van and just watched the fight happen. I was living for it. I was like, Heather's the voice of the audience. It's like Garcelle last year on Beverly Hills. Garcelle felt really like the voice of the audience. And this year, Heather to me feels like the voice of the audience. Like, you know what, Jen's messy, but I kind of love her. And I think there's a lot of people who feel that way. I might not be one of them, but I think there's a lot of people who are like, Jen's messy, but we love her. And this cast has been like, you know, Jen says she's innocent and we're here. And as she's lashing out, they forgive and they move on. It's a very interesting dynamic with this cast. And the thing that I like is they feel like OG New Jersey, where they had real relationships before the show started. And I think that's one of the things that we've lost in some of the other franchises are those ties that go way back. So if you piss someone off, they're going to tell your stories from way back because they know you.
Okay, so since we know that we all watched the episode last night, I guess this would be my question to help us end off. Because when Meredith and Jen got into this back and forth, and I said this last night, it started like this, and then it became this, and then it finally ended off like this. So I didn't know what the hell was happening. I got whiplash all across the board. But, you know, Meredith legit stood in her truth kind of when Jen kept screaming. She was like, hold on, no, I'm coming back. You're not taking control. And then she walks up to Jen and she's like, you don't want what I know to get out. Almost like giving us Kim Richards vibes with talking about the husband for Lisa Rinna. And Jen's like, what are you going to say? And Meredith's like, trust me, you don't want it to get out. And then they're running with this narrative that there was one man that they both end up potentially hanging out with.
Netflix and chilling with,
Netflix and chilling with, right? Do you think, and this is how we're going to end this off, that there could be any truth to this? Because there were other ridiculous allegations like, you know, Meredith having a fake funeral for her father in order to not get on the bus, Meredith going to the feds to throw, you know, Jen under the bus. Like it's almost like the boy who cried wolf. When you have so many fake allegations, it's like, can you believe this one? Are we believing it? Or do we think it's just another accusation?
Jen sat right down, didn't she? Jen sat right down. And the other cast members were like, and it wasn't, it was one of those things where I asked myself, is this a prolonged period of time? Is this a cut to later? But the rest of the cast was like, what happened? Like, what did she do? And there's a meme, I don't know who started it. It might've been Ryan Bailey, that talked about Meredith speaking in cursive. And last night's show, I could not get that out of my mind. I'm like, she does. Meredith Marks speaks in cursive. And she just was like, no, I'm here. But I think Meredith's been really authentic with like, Jen, I don't want to be friends with you, but I have empathy for you. And I think she's just willing to tell Jen the truth. Like, just take a breath. Just like, you don't want to keep attacking me, because if it comes out, it's coming out. And I think there's some truth to it, because Jen responded, didn't she? Jen doesn't normally respond well to threats. Instead of going crazy and getting in Meredith's face again, she sat down and was like, oh, okay. Hi. All right. Sorry. My bad.
Okay. That's when we got this. Okay.
Yes.
Hey, we're friends again.
Hey. Oh, there you are. There's my friend from a long time ago. We're friends.
And then they're all sleeping in the same room.
I mean, there's nothing like a good threat or somebody exposing the shit out of you to kind of make you be like, oh, maybe I'll leave you alone. Maybe I'll back off because there's a few other women here that I can go in on. Jenny, you told me that she hired at PI. And I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. What just happened? Jenny's like, I'm getting whiplash. How did this just go from her to me? And I'm like,
it was a whip pan. The cameras were all like, rip.
Yeah. And I was like, well, Jenny, because you obviously don't have the same dirt, allegedly on Jen that Meredith does. So right now, sorry, the tides have turned and you are the new target.
Now I wonder if the Reddit rumors are true.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Well, with that, we did make it to an hour and 45 minutes.
Like I went very quiet.
I mean,
Dana, I want to know what you're quiet about. What are you thinking?
Exactly.
Is it on the
I was just
Patreon,
like,
Dana? She always
you're
does this
sitting
to
there
us.
and I'm like-
Dana dropped Emily. It's so funny because I feel like I'm learning my fellow like content creators and the people I love to collab with, and I know like what I can get out of it and what I can't. And with Dana, she always comes in because she does the work and the research and she has the details, and then she drops like a nugget. And then I'm like, okay, so what's going on? And she's like, oh, cute. I just did a whole thing, a lot of work I put into it, and it's on my Patreon. So go watch it there and then contact me. And I'm like,
Inspirational.
Yeah.
Inspirational. I always mean to do that. And then I'm like, okay, well, hold on. Like, we'll just talk a little bit more. And then I just keep talking.
It's hard. You have to master what to put where. But I do want to say this. I did do a YouTube video about the blind, which is partially what they're referring to in this scene, about the affair in New York, that they purportedly slept with the same man. So there is a blind about it. And I did release a YouTube explaining the blind and explaining what was meant by it, where it may be coming from.
What's a blind?
it's a blind item.
It's a blind item. It's where someone, there's quite a lot of gossip about Meredith and Jen in New York and things that surrounded their trips and gatherings in New York together. And from that is some gossip that has been released by Enty at Crazy Days and Nights in blinds, and some of the others. There's other people that do it as well, but Enty's like the most famous. And so they're taking some of the gossip that's been happening in New York and generating blinds from it. And a blind came out that Jen and Meredith were like basically with the same guy. And there's obviously also the Reddit gossip, which you guys are alluding to, you know, about Meredith.
Now
right?
I want to know if it's the same guy that Jen has the restraining order on out of New York. Now I'm very curious.
So now in that video that I did on YouTube, which is free, it's a YouTube video. If you go look on my playlist under blinds, Emily, you'll find it, but it has the guy in it that purportedly is the man, if you want to look into it.
Okay.
To see if it's the gentleman that you found.
Look at Emily. Her wheels are turning. She's like,
yeah.
She's like,
Can you imagine if Emily?
But no, but here's the thing though. Here's where my brain went. Okay, just here's where my brain went for a second. They are accusing Meredith of giving information to the feds. The feds have the guy from New York that Jen has the restraining order against. It was a big part of her motions about being arrested. So if Jen knows that Meredith is connected to that guy, it gives weight to why Meredith might have some of this information, because everybody's like, well, Meredith would know this. I'm like, how the fuck would Meredith know any of this?
Right.
But if there is a mutual third party, then it makes a bit more sense that Meredith might know things, because the mutual third party that Jen has the restraining order on is somebody who's connected with these schemes per all of the court records. And that all makes it make a lot more sense. That is an individual located in New York. It's the reason Jen said, well, it's the reason she said, I don't know if it's true.
Do you know?
Oh, we're not going there because I'm not going to speculate wildly. I'll go look at the blind and then we'll talk.
Yeah.
I don't want to speculate wildly, but what the arrest motion said when Jen was trying to say that she was, not thinking and her contacts were dry, and that's why she gave a statement to the police, and they were talking about this third party, she said, oh, when they said we want to make sure you're safe, I thought the third party had done something to me or to my family. And then that would connect for me if they thought the third party was involved with her being arrested, and then the fact that Meredith wasn't on the bus lends a lot more credence to why she might have been spinning in that direction, because she thought the police were talking about the third party and then Meredith wasn't on the bus. And then maybe it all connects in her mind if that is the same third party. And that gives a lot more context in my mind, instead of people just being like, oh, Meredith must have tipped off the feds, which seems like wild speculation. Now,
I don't think that the guy, without seeing the restraining order, I can't obviously know for sure, but I don't believe the gentleman that they had a mutual affair with was the gentleman in the restraining order, because I don't believe he was involved with this scheme. So
it might not be, but I'd be interested to see how they are connected, or if they're connected.
You should be a producer now.
It would just be interesting to see if there's a connection, there or not.
I mean,
yeah, no, I loved it. That's great. I want there to be a connection.
Because because if the third party is connected to the scheme, not by being a participant, but by being a confidant of Jen Shah, that's something different. And if this is somebody that Jen was having a relationship with, which is all pure speculation, and there's a restraining order, can you see Jen getting crazy in a relationship? I can picture it. I just can. I can picture it.
I mean, if Jason has the ability to get crazy in a relationship, Jen can.
Sorry, Meredith and Jen have a complex friendship, allegedly. We'll just...
It's complicated, is what you're saying.
Well, my gosh. Okay. All right.
Wild speculation with Adam. Congratulations on 100K.
Yeah, this is great.
Congratulations, Adam. That's such an accomplishment.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. And honestly,
and Jason, I love you. I didn't talk to you enough today. But we're going to talk alone, you and me. So,
well, yeah, okay, as soon as we get off of here, Dana, we have to plan that VPR just so we all know what we're doing. It's been crazy, like with us kind of going back and forth. I went to Salt Lake City. Jason went to Cape Cod. Now we're going to LA. It's been boom, boom, boom. But we are available. So if you want to make it happen either tomorrow night and you want us to be on it, or if you want it to happen for next week, we'll be in LA.
I want to do it next week. Can we do it after, or you don't want to? Because you're going to be in LA partying. Are you going to want to go out?
I mean, do you want us on your channel like that?
I mean,
because we can be.
What time? If you guys are going to be in LA and you want to party and go out, I don't want to screw up your night. So like, I'll do it the next day if you want. Wednesday morning? If you would rather do it at like 10 to 11, isn't that after part 2 of the reunion, 10 to 11?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can. Well, we'll talk about it. I think I'll figure it out, because I just got to look at what we have going on for those couple days. We're only in town for 3 days, but we'll definitely make it happen no matter what, for sure.
Okay, so I'm just going to leave it to you guys. I'm on East Coast time. I'm in Massachusetts right now. So, hi, shout out to Mass people. Okay. And so just because I'm so COVID foggy, I'm really struggling even to talk in this interview. I hope I did okay, because like I don't know what I'm even saying half the time, because I have such bad brain fog. But if you just send me a time that works for you guys, I'll make it work for me.
Definitely.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll send you a long voice memo.
East Coast time.
Definitely. And Dana, for those who don't know, will you let them know where we can find you?
Yes. My YouTube channel is Decadish Dana. And oh my God, Emily, today I did a whole YouTube video about why Prince Andrew loves teddy bears. Okay. And I become a teddy bear in the video a few times. It's hilarious. You have to go see it.
I'll have to go see it. Let me know if YouTube lets you monetize it, because every time I say the name Prince Andrew, YouTube's like, no thanks, friend.
Ooh. Oh, I know. Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I think it was because it was about teddy bears. It was okay, not Gillen. But I know exactly what you're saying. And what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. And I have a Patreon where is like my Reddit. My podcast is on there, and all my receipts and legal stuff is on there. My gossip, my blah, blah. And that's Dishing Drama Dana on Patreon. And then yesterday, I released a free Dishing Drama Dana podcast on all of the different, normal outlets, if you guys want to give it a try to hear what a full episode's like. And that one was on the WWE, I got a rare interview with Velveteen Dream, and if you don't know the scandal surrounding him, it blew like the WWE Open like last year. So you might want to just check it out. A lot of people,
Definitely.
my aunt's on it too. It'll understand why when you hear the show, but it's kind of interesting if you want to check it out.
It's great. I've been on your podcast, and it was a lot of fun where we were spilling about some Cirque du Soleil, moments where we've met before.
Cirque du Soleil. Yep. And I haven't had Emily on. I will have her on now that I know her.
I would love to do that. Yep.
Yeah.
Look at that, making connections. We love it. We love it. Dana, feel better, drink some water, and we will be sending you lots of love and positive vibes. And thank you for coming on. We appreciate you.
I just am so honored to be with you guys. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
Bye, Dana.
Bye. So let me say goodbye so you two can celebrate and wrap up with your audience.
Yeah.
And
We'll
say goodbye. Adam, I'm so happy for you. I'm so excited for you. I think everyone knew that the shout out to the interview was you. I mean, it's your interview. Next time the name will get in there, but I'm really excited to see what the next 100K brings and the 100K beyond that. And then when Adam's like, I'm sorry, I don't have time for YouTube anymore. I'm on network TV. Then it'll be like, we'll celebrate that too.
I don't know about that, but I was happy that I was able to put some purple in my hair, even though it looks a little blue. Jason,
no, it looks electric purple. It's ultraviolet. Go with that.
Okay, so we got something going on, and I promised, and I stuck true to my promise. We have the law nerds in the room, and you guys are always absolutely amazing. I see the law nerds and the paw nerds. I love that. There's so many names for this community. I can't keep up.
The paw nerds are the pets of the law nerd community because I will occasionally get unsolicited pictures that I don't want. And I made it very clear that if you're sending me unsolicited pictures, kitty is okay if it has 4 paws. Otherwise, no thanks. And dogs are the same. Dogs with 4 paws. Those are the unsolicited pictures I will always accept in my DMs and on my text crew. Other unsolicited pictures, I don't need so much. Thanks.
Yeah. Can I second that one, please?
I mean, unsolicited pet pictures are fine with me.
Yes. Emily, thank you so much. Obviously, if you guys don't know, you're living under a rock. Emily D. Baker is the #1 legal commentator on YouTube. I mean, if you're not following, you have to go follow. Emily, you're always so sweet, and you have been one of my favorite people to collaborate with. I always talk about you on everyone's channel. You would think that I probably work for the Emily show over here, because I go on DJ Richie's and I'm like, well, Emily said. I go on Zach's, but Emily said.
I'm happy to be a reference. That's why I like breaking down the legal stuff, because I can't keep up with everything. And I literally had no idea what she meant by a blind. That's not me bullshitting. No idea what was meant. And I love collaborating with you because you bring the context to the stuff I can't follow, because it's so much to follow and I can't keep up with it all. It's like, it's just too much, which is why, I love just doing the legal stuff, because otherwise my head would explode.
It's mayhem.
So
well, Emily, we know you have stuff to do, and I hope I hope the boys feel better, and we're sending you lots of love and positive vibes. And thank you.
We'll go see. Thank you so much. Congratulations on 100K. It's so good. Yay.
Thank you.
Bye, gentlemen.
Bye, Emily.
Wow, Jason.
That's fun. What a great panel you had today. I often, when I don't know the answer to something, I'm like, you guys just go check out Emily D. Baker. She's dropped a video on this, because I can't explain it like she does. And I actually learn a lot from watching her channel, and it changes my perspective a lot too. So,
and I always, we have access to all of these different, like the actual legal documents and stuff. But even when I read them, there's a lot of legal jargon in that I don't necessarily understand. And I've had attorneys on before, and sometimes I can follow what they're saying, and they're like, you know what I'm saying, right? And I'm like, yeah, totally, 100%. I know what you're saying. Because even if I don't get it, maybe people in the live chat are, and I don't want to ruin it. But with Emily, I never have that moment. She always, it's like an art, the way that she's able to explain it to someone who has never sat a day in their life in law school. I mean, it's crazy to me. It's crazy. But Real of Fiction, thank you so much. 100,000. Woohoo! So proud of you, Adam. Thank you. Before we go, I do want to say thank you to all of our super chat, super stickers. Thank you to all of our mods. Thank you to the Law Nerds, the Sky Squad community, Zach, Peter, and everyone who came over from #NoFilter with Zach, and his Rosé. Thank you to everyone who came over from Decadish with Dana, and of course from Down with Jason. Jason, if they don't know, let them know. Where can we find
Well,
you?
listen, you can find me at Down with Jason. We are, well, Up and Adam's sister channel. We cover things that Adam doesn't, like Below Deck, which we're covering tomorrow night at 11 p.m. for our late night show called Anchor Watch, which is always fun. We've been joined by Captain Sean from this season. We try to have some interesting guests to kind of spill a little bit of tea. Tomorrow we have Adrienne Gang, who is the OG Chief Stew of Below Deck. So we'll see what kind of stuff she has to share with us. And I just want to get her opinion on what's happening this season on Below Deck. But also go subscribe if you haven't subscribed, because when we go to LA next week, there's lots of big news dropping, and I will be going live literally wherever I am to show you some behind the scenes of Up and Adam.
Hey, I didn't know.
Hey, I don't know if you knew that, but I'm going to.
All right, guys. 2 hours in the room. We officially done it. This is the longest live I've ever done, but what better way to celebrate 100,000 subscribers? If you haven't already, go ahead, smash that like button. Most of our lives are subscribers only live. Tomorrow we'll be back. We'll be back. I can't talk right now. Tomorrow we will be back with Wake Up and Adam at 9:30 a.m. up until Friday. And of course, we have our normal lives resuming. We'll be doing Vanderpump Rules on Jason's channel. Jason has his Anchor Watch tomorrow night at 11. We'll be talking about Orange County. If it's coming out, we're talking about it. It never fails. Even Real Housewives of Miami, we will be mentioning it all. But in the meantime, I was going to say one other thing. If I figure it out, I'll post it on the community tab. I love you guys. Jason, thank you for doing this.
Hey, congratulations. This is well deserved, for sure.
Thank you. I'm going to go pop some balloons, but not champagne. I love you guys, and I'll see you so very soon. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.